to a long song Saturday or a full album Saturday. That works. As always, thank you so much for being here, for clicking on the video. I appreciate you stopping in, because today we are going to listen to Rendez-Vous, Jean-Michel Jarre. It's time to return. It's been a little bit. I've given him a little bit of a break, but now it's time to come on back with his 8th studio album. This one that we're going to listen to, released in 1986. I have totally forgotten to pull up the people's names who have recommended this album, but if you give me like 10 seconds, I can probably do that. In the meantime, as always, thank you so much for being here. Click the like button. Just get it out the way. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're interested in, we'll see more in the future. Anyways, those of you who had suggested this album: JJ Millennium Blackshade, Robert Gurajan, Hakon Sten Seth, Weeping Scorpion, Nidals, Terry Roxburgh, As Form, Luke, LUC, or Luck, Vandalay Industries, Papa Kunwa, Albertson, Kate Quick, and I believe many, many more of you. I'm just glancing really quick, so I appreciate you guys recommending the album. Now, before we dive into it, I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to say a few things. First of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping by. As always, really appreciate that. Second of all, with Jean-Michel Jarre, so I've noticed that the past albums that we've recently reacted to have been all copyright blocked. I've noticed that going back to like Oxygen and Equinox, some of those videos have been blocked retroactively. So I'm 99% sure that this is going to be blocked on YouTube. So I'm just letting you know right now. I always have the little warning at the beginning if this is an edited video, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be blocked because it seems to be the case with all of these videos from him. So if obviously if you don't want to watch the edited version on YouTube, watch the full version on Patreon. It's free. You don't have to sign up or it's free. So just go watch the full one right there. You click off right now and just go watch that. I guess that's really all I had to say. Oh no, there's one more thing. There's one more thing. Also, this album I could not find on Spotify, so I found it on YouTube. So that's how we're gonna watch this. I know you're probably asking yourself, JP, you just said it gets blocked on YouTube. The reactions. How did you find the full? Don't ask me, man. Ask YouTube. You're asking the wrong person on that end. But yeah, found it here. So I'm probably going to let some tracks run together. Maybe not all of them. I don't know. We'll just kind of play it by ear. We have 6 tracks to go through. I don't know exactly when the breaks will be. I don't know. We're just gonna let it go. How about that? So, my friends, my beautiful and radiant friends, as always, for this time, and never the last time, because there's always a next time. I almost thought I forgot to press the record button. Oh my god. Here, let me bring you up here, guys. As always, here's to you. That is loud. Hold on. For me, it's loud. Maybe not for you. Very gentle build-up. Before it goes into the second Rendezvous, occasionally I want to stop it. I thought that was a really, really nice intro. It's a quick one. It's 2 minutes or so, right? It's a quick little intro, sets you up really nicely. I like the main melody and how it kind of goes up and down. That deeper note hits very low. And then those kind of, what I call those electronic wind effects that kind of sweep in from my right headphone and then move into center and then exiting on the left, I think is a really neat effect. I like when panning is done in a certain way that just kind of like, it envelops you in the music and it really involves you in the music as well. And obviously this is just that very, not ambient, I don't want to quite say that, but it's a slower cooked meal before you dive into the main course, which obviously is going to be second Rendezvous here. You heard those little bit of stabs that were coming in. So, like I said, not going to stop too much on this one. Just a quick one, but just to make a few comments, back up about 5 seconds. Let's let it go. I love that. Such a cool sound. like this little second part to it. Yeah, okay. Truthfully, without hyperbole, exaggeration, or any sensationalism, I do think that second Rendezvous is one of the best tracks that I've heard from Jean-Michel Jarre. That has so much to it. That has everything. Taking that more orchestrated symphonic route, of course, just blissfully touched with electronics and his brand of texture and stuff, I think it works so wonderfully. The taste of organ-like sounds in there, the almost vocalized samples, bum 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 bum, that's so deep and resounding. This is something that would be played, this is how I imagine it. This is something that would be played in some intergalactical church somewhere. This is what they're playing. And the organist is back there with like a bunch of tentacles, and he's like, bum, 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 bum. Like, remember Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean in that really famous piece and that scene? Like, that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm seeing just with an alien on some planet way out there. This is space church music, and I think that it's absolutely glorious. The halfway point where it breaks and pretty much turns into another song, I thought that was so cool. Now the drums are introduced, now the percussion's introduced, but it's more of just a gentle rhythm to put everything into, rather than the overt drums that you would, well, maybe I would expect. You know, it's not like a boom, 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 boom. It's just kind of like little. That's not how it sounds, but it's more little scattered asteroids that are floating around this specific belt, while the music just works its way around that. And I think that sounds really cool. And then it's called Rendezvous for a reason, because they bring it right back around to that main groove, that main piece, that main melody. They bring it right back around for one last time. This time, all things are included. The vocals, that big throbby organ-like sound, the Jarrisms, which I say are those like bubbly sounds, and like everything just comes back in full-fledged form, and it just sounds absolutely wonderful. I really think that second Rendezvous is one of the best tracks I've heard from Jarre, period. I would have to listen to it again. You know, I'd have to get used to it and really understand it. But on a first listen, it's very impressive. And I can't help but think that, and I think I mentioned this probably last time we did a full album listen, but I can't help but wonder if there's an orchestra out there, a symphony out there that have covered some of his music, but of course taken away the electronic part and just having strings, brass, etc., because it would translate so well into doing that. Anyways, that's fantastic. Let's go ahead and pull you guys back up here. Oh, wrong screen. Let me put you guys back up here, and we're backing up 5 seconds. Let's let it go into the third. What a great experience this is. That's a great way of putting it. It's an experience that you're listening to. Laser splat. Laser cord. So before we move into fourth, so third definitely takes a step back, right? This to me is just this giant sandscape. Now, I've never seen... Well, let me bring you guys up here so you can talk to me. So I've never seen the movie, but for some reason, the soundscape in Third Rendezvous is making me think of Dune. And I've never seen the movie, but I'm at least familiar kind of with like some of the cinematic pictures and scenes from it, and to an extent. And it just gives me the thought of this wide open landscape with sandy winds blowing, mountains of dunes and sand, and weird obelisk figures and machineries in the distance. I don't know. There's something mysterious about it. Deeply mysterious. It also reminds me in some ways of like going on search of something. In search of some distant land, in search of some treasure, trudging and adventuring through the desert to find this long lost treasure, this relic, whatever it may be. Like, I'm just conjuring up those kind of images when I'm listening to it. So I like how this takes a step back. I like how it's not as upfront in your face as Second Rendezvous, as amazing as that is. I do like how this takes things, a step back. And I think that technically this track ends this side of the album. It does. So this is kind of like a cool down after the, I guess, heating up, I guess you could say, of the previous track. So in a perfect way, this first side has shown and executed perfect composition. The first Rendezvous was a nice prelude. It was a nice build-up. It was kind of a soft opening. Then we got into second Rendezvous, which was like the adventurous, the cinematic, the explosive. And then we come back down in third. So where will we go from the second half forward? No one knows. But the point is, it's a really good journey, and it feels like a journey. And when I'm listening to music like this, or for example, I almost, like for this specific, reaction this specific Saturday, I almost chose to listen to Stratosphere from Tangerine Dream because a lot of you had also suggested it. I might do that, maybe next month or so, who knows. But I just wanted something in that realm to put me on a journey. And last time, we listened to Tangerine Dream, so I was like, okay, let me give Jarre this time, and then maybe we'll go back, or who knows, maybe we'll do craft work. Who knows? Like, I try to balance the artists and stuff like that in the electronic field. Or maybe we'll go somewhere else, But anyways, that's what I'm looking for. I'm choking for no reason. Okay, I don't know why I just started choking. Let's go ahead and get onto the second side of the album. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm starting to choke all of a sudden. Let's go ahead and move on to the second side of the album. Starting off with fourth Rendezvous. Let me pull you guys back up here. If you see me mute the mic, it's because I'm dying right now. For no reason. Like nothing even happened. Alright, there we go. Little jazzercise in here. A sporting team event. This is like a sports event. This is like the walkout song for like a robot team. It's so bright and happy and poppy. Okay. I don't know who was breathing into the mic on the ending there. Fourth Rendezvous is definitely, to me, the poppiest of all the tracks we've heard. It definitely keeps a very strong, constant, catchy melody. Very singable as well. Like, it's very singable. To be honest, when I was listening to this, it is also very 80s, I would say, obviously. But like when I was listening to this, I could easily imagine like a pop singer singing on this one. I don't know why, but I could hear like a Madonna or someone singing along with this, like like a female pop singer. I could just hear them hitting this very well. I don't know why that's where my mind went. The music also had this very fun, energetic sound to it, which, like I said near the beginning, it reminded me of like a sporting event, and this is like the. My mind goes places sometimes with this. Like it was the walkout song to some robotic baseball team. Jarre is going to conjure up images of fantasy, futuristic machinery, aliens, cosmos, space. That's where my mind goes with him, and that's where he takes me. So I can't help but think of that. Or maybe it's the walkout song of like some intergalactic space racers as they are about to start on the star. It's not NASCAR. It's NASTAR. Please clap. That's a good one. No one else has thought. That's a good joke. NASTAR, Galactic Space Race. Man, put me in the writing department for some TV show or something. Either way, Fourth Rendezvous was a very fun, to me, poppy electronic song. I could see this being played like around. As a matter of fact, we actually haven't looked at the Wikipedia article for this track. For this album, I should say. And I'm curious if there were any singles from this album or anything like that. Let's see. It says, you guys can look at this with me. It says Rendezvous was created over a period of about 2 months, featuring heavy use of the Elka syntax. Notably on second Rendezvous, which he performs with a laser harp. Is that the thing? Oh yeah, it is that thing. How does this thing work, the laser harp? I've seen it like, I've seen it where they put their fingers on the things, and that actually works. That's cool. That's so cool. I've seen that. Yeah. I think that looks so cool. Oh, I don't care about the software. That's nothing to me. I want to see it in use. There you go. How is that done? I think that is just so cool. Okay, let's not get distracted too much. Let's see. As with Zuluk, it contains elements from the album music for Supermash. In this case, it is the fifth Rendezvous. We haven't gotten there yet. So nothing about the fourth Rendezvous. I was just, oh, there you, there you go. Single, fourth rendezvous. It just felt like it. Did it chart or anything? Okay, this is for the album. This is album's chart, so nothing else. Okay, so it was released as a single, but I don't see any charting information for it. Okay, I was just curious about that. So, anyways, yeah, fourth rendezvous, like I said, definitely the poppiest of them all. I'll say so far, I'll admit, it's my least favorite so far. We got 2 more rendezvous to go, but the fourth one, I don't know why. This one, man, it just had me itching for like a female pop singer on here. I know. That's just me. That's just where my mind goes, but I can't say that it felt like it was missing something, because Jarre does a great job of, filling up spaces. But man, it just made me want something to. All right. Anyways, it's still good though. Still good. Let's let it go back and hit the 5th one. Here we go. That breathing. Someone used their inhaler. Before we dive into the last rendezvous, 5th rendezvous is a track to me of 3/3. Not 2 halves, 3/3. The first part, the first third, is incredibly elegant. I think it's honestly maybe like, I don't want to say one of the most beautiful pieces. No, I will say it. It's one of the most beautiful pieces and sections in this album so far. That first section with that gentle waltz and the way that it performs so gracefully, I think is just filled with this refined elegance that is sensational, especially after the poppier side of the 4th rendezvous. It just adds this grace and nuance and this very gentle rhythm that sways you back and forth. And the melody is very catchy. It stays in your mind. It's just a very beautiful piece. And I was like, this is gorgeous. I'd like to see how we expand upon that. Now, that doesn't exactly happen. I'm glad we got a few minutes with that. But then you go through like this, I don't know, the only way I could think of it was like this radio transmission where out in space in our intergalactic space shuttle, we're tuning the dials so that we could listen to different stations and pick up different stations and music. And at that point, that's when you're going through, these, I said electronic polka or something. I don't know what I said, but this spacey polka. You have the operatic singing that's taking place and some other little things. And I love the effect of how they come in from one side, go out to the other side. It just puts you in this transmission that I think is really cool. That's what we had read about in that Wikipedia article about it containing elements from music por Schumer. I can't pronounce it. Supermash, which was in this rendezvous, the 5th rendezvous. So you clearly heard some different sounds and music coming in there, which, like I said, it's a cool effect. I do think that's a cool effect. I love that first part so much that second part, I was like, okay, it sounds cool, but I really enjoyed what was happening in the first part. Then we got to the third, where we have these scattering synths and like these sequencers are going. And I think that sounds cool. I like the tempo change. I like how fast they are. It almost sounds very playful and fun and like little neurons and atoms just colliding and bouncing off the walls and and then amongst that you have once again that deep synth boom, 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 or whatever. And that takes that playfulness and all of a sudden turns it and changes it into something dramatic and heavy, which I thought just that use of the heavy synth there, it was really cool how that changed everything. So separated, I really enjoyed each of these parts. Together in 5th rendezvous, I just really love that first part so much that I wish that was expanded upon, that's what was used as the progression for the rest of this. Because while the other 2 parts sound cool on their own, I guess in my mind, I felt like they just took us away from the attention that I would rather be given to the first part. Because that was, to me, absolutely beautiful. I think that part was just wonderful to listen to. And I wish that it stayed in that direction instead of changing and going, even if it changed into that radio transmission part and then it, like second rendezvous, went back to that first part, just expanded upon it, I would probably have no issue with that. But as it is, I just wish that we got more of the beginning of Fifth Rendezvous. All right, and with that being said, let's go ahead and pull up the last Rendezvous here, also entitled, or with the subtitle, Ron's Piece. Let's back us up 5 seconds. Let it rip. Only piece of acoustic instruments in here. Last Rendezvous, that brings it all back in a really, really fantastic way. Do you want me to be honest with you? I'm going to say Last Rendezvous is my favorite piece on this album. And then Second Rendezvous. Those two. I can't help. I like every single ounce, second, and bit of Last Rendezvous. It is sensational. I love the use of the saxophone in here. It changes everything because, you know, we're very used to the digital, the electronic, the synthetic. And now all of a sudden, you know, for lack of a better word, real instrumentation is brought in. And it's almost like a shock to the system. But then it starts playing and it's like, ooh, it meshes so well. I like how the music begins with this heartbeat and then the synths just kind of underlying it with a nice bed, kind of creating this kind of dark atmosphere. But then the saxophone comes in and it starts to, I wouldn't say lighten it up completely. It's not like it brights up the scene. But in a world of black, perhaps it adds a little white so that it has this almost film noir-esque kind of quality to it. I mean, that's just what I'm hearing when I'm listening to it. But I just really enjoyed the saxophone playing. And then eventually you hear those bassy throbs come in, providing that rhythm. And even when that comes in, there's still a lot of restraint being built in the atmosphere from Jarre. There's still a lot of pullback. We're not getting some of the Jarreisms that perhaps we're used to hearing, the bubbly synths, like, no. This is a restrained piece of music. And I love how it's really given room to the saxophone, who I'm imagining it's played by Ron. It had the title of Ron's Piece. I mean, it just makes sense. But I did say that there's some information on that. The last track of the album was originally scheduled to include a saxophone part recorded by astronaut Ron McNair on the Space Shuttle Challenger, which would have made it the first piece of music to be recorded in space. However, of course, it disintegrated and the entire crew were killed. The track was later dedicated to McNair and the other 6 astronauts. The saxophone part is played by Pierre Gauzet. Their album was recorded in mix. Okay. You know what? I wonder. I mean, obviously that adds a real sadness into the music, which, I mean, in the beginning, it already had a sad sound to it. I'm curious as to how much of the track was completed before Jarre said basically like, okay, here you go, Ron, you know, do your thing over this. Because I wonder, was that heartbeat, for example, there before? Or was that added in after the shuttle had disintegrated? You know, I wonder, like, how much was done beforehand and perhaps what changed his approach to the track afterwards. You know, that's a really interesting fact, especially that it would have been the first piece of music recorded in space. That's really, really interesting. Now I'm actually kind of curious. What was the first piece of music recorded in space? Jingle Bells? Became the first song to be played in space using a musical instrument. Nice, but that doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense because this was going to be 86. So, there's a whole Wikipedia article about that. Look at that! There's a whole Wikipedia article. The first ever song that was performed in space was a Ukrainian song, "Watching the Sky," in 1962. Okay, but we're talking about like the first recorded, right? First piece of music recorded. Not played, but actually recorded, like for an album. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of other information here. You know, I guess Carl Walls played a rendition of Heartbreak Hotel in 2003. Space Oddity, David Bowie. I mean, there's some other information here. That's kind of cool. I was just curious. That just made me think about it. But regardless, I think that Final Rendezvous is really just a sensational piece of music and is really very well refined, restrained, and just absolutely magically beautiful. While Rendez-Vous 2 is my second favorite piece. I guess that just makes sense. Either way, thank you so much for watching the video. This was relatively a quick one. I mean, the album's pretty short, only 35 minutes, but it's a good one. Like I said, I just wanted a journey, something to like just sit and listen to, have some visuals in my mind, as I always do with like instrumental music. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. Hope you enjoyed listening and watching the video. Of course, if you did, do what you should have done at the beginning and press that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Support what I do on Patreon. You don't have to, but you can for as low as $2 a month. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure that this will be cut on YouTube, but I'm assuming that most of you are probably watching on Patreon, where the full version's available. So either way, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you as always for watching. Come back tomorrow, and I'll see you all then, guys. Bye.